good day all. My name is Chef Sally and today we'll be making samosa. Right, we have our ingredient for the sheets on our table. I'm sure by now we should be conversant with making the sheets, but I'll take you through it again. We have our flour and then our cornstarch, our salt, and then our water. Okay, but before we add our water, we're going to give it a good mix using our ball whisk this way. All right, we'll mix it and mix this way. Okay, mix it properly so that everything is well combined. Then add your water. Okay, once your water is in it, just using your hand, just mix it all together like this. Okay, ensure that you mix it all together. All right, just like what I am doing. Samosa is a chop that is very common in Nigeria. There's almost no occasion you go to that you do not find samosa and spring rolls, honestly. And you know what? Our people love it a lot. They love it a lot. If I tell you the story of samosa, when I started, it was difficult for me. I was not getting it at all. When people call me and say, Sally, we have an event. Can we have samosa? I'll be encouraging them to take donuts. I'll be encouraging them to take buns. But customers, trust customers, they will insist and say, no, it's samosa we want. You know, after I had disappointed people how many times, I had to face it headlong to learn it. And here I am teaching you. It's quite simple. You mix it all together just like what I have done. Ensure to have something that is a bit tough. Let it not be too soft. If it's too soft, by the time you are rolling it out, it will be too soft to soak oil. It will take a lot of oil, and that's not what we want. So put your dough together just like what I'm doing and wrap it in a cling film or any nylon that you have. The most important thing is that you just have to allow it to rest for, let's say, 15 minutes. Okay, between 10 to 15 minutes is fine. So you keep this aside while you make your filling. Okay, samosa filling is usually a meaty filling, just like what we have here. All right, we have some other samosas that are just purely vegetable. If you're making it for vegetarians, you do not add any kind of meat. You just make just vegetables. All right, your carrots, your green peas, your potatoes and all. That is also very delicious, but you don't make that for our Nigerian people. We want to see meat in it. So the first thing we do is that we put our oil in our pan just like this, and then we follow with our onion like we usually do. We want to sweat our onion in this oil. We want the oil to be aromatic. We want to have that aroma, that beautiful aroma. Then we follow up with our garlic and ginger as usual. All right, so this is it. So once you give it a good stir like this, then you follow in with your meat like this and fry it up like this. Now ensure that the grinded meat that you're using is the lean part of the meat, which is either the steak or the back of the neck of the cow, because those parts are really very soft. But if you're using the tough one, of course, after frying it like this, you have to add water, allow it to cook until the water dries up before you add other vegetables. But if you're using the soft part of the meat, you just go straight forward, just like what I am doing. You put in your meat, you put in your spring onions, you put in your red pepper, and then you follow up with your other seasoning and spices. All right, so you can see that I am mixing it properly. Now I have my seasoning cube, and so I'm putting in my seasoning cube. Okay, ensure that you put it to taste. Do not over put. Too much of salt is not good for the health. and it's also not good for your customers. All right, so just put everything moderately. All right, the most important thing is that we want to have a good taste at the end of the day. Okay, so I am mixing this all together and I have poured it out. Can you see how this looks? You see meat everywhere, your vegetables all looking beautiful and pretty. Okay, so you put it in a flat plate and allow air to pass through it. Okay, now we are getting back to our samosa sheets. So can you see that the sheets are now looking, the dough is now looking soft, it's looking smoother. Okay, that's the essence. That's why we had to keep it for a while. Okay, so that it would have that soft, tender, smooth dough like what you can see here. So you cut them into small pieces, small pieces, but ensure to have them equal sizes. If you have your measuring scale, you can use your measuring scale to get this process done. Okay, now working on your work surface, ensure that you get it to a round before you begin rolling, just like what we did for our spring rolls. Can you see that it's almost the same? Now get it to a round like this before you begin rolling. Don't be careless about this step. All right, I've seen some people, they just roll, they don't mind if they're getting it round. If you don't get it round, at the end of the day, you are not sure of the shape that you have. All right, so if you're working on a round shape, you should have it round. If you're working on a squared or rectangle shape, you should have it that shape. All right, so press it down this way and put in the oil. Like I said to you earlier whilst we were making the spring roll, I said be generous with this step. Ensure that you put enough oil. When you put the oil and you're putting it together, you even see the oil dripping out. It's okay, don't worry. Let the oil be sufficient. If it is not, when you are separating it, it would not separate. All right, so put your flour on top of the oil on the both sheet and put it together like this. All right, isn't this easy? Okay, now just turn it and press it together. What I'm doing is that I'm pressing it all together, ensuring that yes, they are together. Okay, then I begin to roll it. If you look at my work surface, you see a little bit of oil dripping out. It's okay. It shows that I have enough oil in there. But ensure that you're not rolling on top of the oil. Okay, just keep taking it round, just like what I am doing. Take it round and round and round. Roll and turn it round like this. Can you see? Now, if you notice, I had to roll it to a certain level before I began adding flour to it. From the beginning, you do not add flour because you want your dough. You can see I just added the flour to my work surface after I have gotten it up to this large size. Okay, you don't start adding flour from the beginning. No, if you do that, you shock the spread of your dough. It will not spread again. It will be difficult for it to spread. Okay, so look at what I'm doing now. So I have begun adding and spreading the flour on the work surface after I have gotten it up to about 10-inch round. Yes, I got it up to about 10-inch round before I began adding flour. Can you see how I am doing this? I'm just enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying myself, and that's what it means to make pastries. When you're doing pastries, you have to enjoy yourself whilst doing it, because if you do not enjoy yourself, it will not come out well. No, it wouldn't. All right, so you can see this is beautiful. You turn it around, just enjoy it, and the dough will also be saying to you, oh yes, I will cooperate with you, I'll come out well, because you are enjoying yourself. Anyways, that is my belief. So that's why I'm sharing that with you. Okay, so just keep spreading it this way as I am doing. Now it's time for us to bake our sheet. We're using a pot, all right? But you can use, if you have an oven, just brush your oven tray and put the dough on it and put it in your oven. It comes out even better than the pot. Okay, so you can use a pot, you can use a pan, but be sure to use what is larger than your dough, than your sheet. I mean to say, use a pot or a pan that is larger. Don't use a pan that is smaller than your sheet, because at the end of the day, the edges will not bake, and that's not what we want. Okay, so you do this and you begin to see something like bubbles coming on top of it. It shows that yes, the heat has gotten into. The heat does not need to be high. Let it be medium. Let it be moderately high, just at the middle. All right, just bring it out and then cut it into two, put together and cut into two again. At the end of the day, you have 4 sheets, and when you separate, you now have 8. Wow. And this is just 2 dough put together. So imagine that you are putting 4 together. All right, you have 16 at once. If you are putting 6 together, you have almost 24 at once. All right, so just rolling your sheet like 5 times, you already have up to 100 or so. But since you are starting, just ensure to start with 2 dough, just like we have done here, so you do not lose your sheets. Okay, so once you have made your sheets this way, what do? You put them in a wrap. Any wrap, Ziploc is fine, any nylon that is clean, just put the wrap in them just to keep them okay. All right, don't keep them open. You don't allow air get into them too much, if not they will just get strong. Now the next thing we do is that we make our gum as well, just like we did for our spring rolls. For samosa, you also make your gum, and the process is the same with what we did for our spring rolls. You just put your flour in a bowl and then you add water, just water. And that's all. So you give it a good mix. Okay, now why do we call it gum? The gluten content in the flour, by the time it begins to work, your glutenin and your glutide, they work together and then they begin to form that stretchy feel that we have in our dough, and that's what helps us to gum the sheets together. Now we have our samosa. Can you see this? Now it's looking like a triangle. Can you see this looking like a triangle? The pointed part is away from you. You are behind this way. So you put your hand down straight from the pointed part down and then fold it up this way. All right. And then you put your gum. Can you see what I'm doing? This is very simple, but if you do not pay attention to details, you may not get it. All right. Just put your hand in the middle this way and fold it, then pick the other edge just like what I am doing and close it this way, just for you to have a triangle. Okay, so can you see what I'm doing? So I have done this. If you want your triangle to be bigger, you fold it to be big, but I don't want it to be big. That's why I close it up a bit this way, and then the excess I just use a knife to cut it out. Can you see what I have just done? All right, you can watch this step again and again. Now look at the bottom of the triangle. I ensure that I close it until I do not have any space there at all, because I don't want my filling leaking through under. As you can see, we have a cone like object in my hand right now, so I put the filling in it. Sometimes between 2 spoons or 3 spoons will be fine. All right, and then you close it like this, just like what I am doing. Hold. Now what you need to do is that you have 3 points. All right, the down point, which is sharp, and the 2 points that I'm going to make right now. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my gum on the 2 sides of the angle, but I'm ensuring to put it at the edges. Can you see what I'm doing? I ensure that the gum gets to the edges this way. Just look at this. Can you see? The gum gets everywhere. Those 2 edges that I'm holding right now. All right, then you close it. Ensure to close that edge to the right and to the left. You do not allow any hole at all, any space at all. So you have a triangle like this with a sharp edge like this. Can you see this? Isn't this looking pretty? It looks really beautiful. It looks really neat. All right, can you see this? Okay, it's quite very simple, very simple. So here we are, we have made our sheets. Now for that wrapping section, be sure to rewind, watch it again and again and again and again, and practice. I remember when I started this, I would wake up sometimes 4 a.m. My husband would be like, what is wrong with you? I am dreaming about samosa. Hey, I want to make it. I want to get it right. That is just the spirit. That's the way to get it right. You have to keep trying it again and again and again and again. And when you do that, you will definitely get it right. Okay? So be sure to watch that part again and again. All right? So this is what we have. We have our samosa. We are frying it right now. But before you fry this, be sure to keep it in your refrigerator. Let it stay there for like 30 minutes to 1 hour. But if it stays overnight, it's even better. All right, but I mean, let it rest in your refrigerator for a while, let's say 30 minutes to 1 hour, and then you fry it. Okay, so we have our samosa. All right, thank you. God bless you. Good day all. My name is Chef Sally and I'm welcoming you to today's class. Today we'll be making spring rolls, which means we'll be making the sheets and the fillings. So we have the ingredients for our spring roll sheets here and we'll begin mixing. The first thing we'll do is we would put our flour in the bowl and then we'll follow with our cornstarch because we want the crust to be crispy, and then we add our salt to it. Using a ball whisk, mix all together this way. All right, mix it properly, just mix it properly, just like I am doing. Then the next thing you do is that you add your water into this mixture, and then using your hand, mix it properly into a tough dough. We don't want it to be too soft, because when it's too soft, you have every likelihood of it soaking oil in your pan. So you just keep mixing. All right, so we've put it on our work surface and then we're putting it together this way. All right, mix it and ensure that everything comes together as a round dough, just like I am doing here. Spring rolls is very easy, but it is one thing that actually really gave me tough time. If I tell you the story of spring rolls and even samosa, you would laugh. But I'm telling you, with this procedure I'm giving you here, you are going to make your spring rolls very easy. As you can see, I've mixed it all together with my hand this way, and there it has all come together. Can you see this? It's tough, it's not soft. Can you see this? Yes, this is exactly what we want. We want it to be this tough, but the flour has come all together. So what you will do is you mix all together this way and we wrap it up. Okay, so I'm putting it all together. Pick your nylon and then wrap it all together and just keep it aside while you do other things. Okay, spring rolls is a very interesting snack. It's an Indonesian dish. All right, they use it to mark their spring occasion, so it's a very fantastic thing. In Nigeria, we take it as small chops. In most occasions, you see spring rolls, you see samosa and puff. All right, so now we're making our filling. We have all of our ingredients mise en place. All right, you have the ingredients from the beginning of the video, and then we have it in our PDF as well. Okay, we have our shredded vegetables and all of that. So we begin by sweating our onion in oil, just like we are doing. Okay, we sweat our onion in oil this way, and then we follow with our garlic and ginger, just like this. All right, you stir everything, give it a good stir, and then you put in your cabbage, your shredded cabbage and carrots. Okay, you put everything in, and for spring rolls we do not want the cabbage to be overcooked. All right, so at this point you are doing everything on a high heat, and you need to be very fast whilst doing this. Okay, so we're putting our vegetables in the oil. So now we have our cabbage, our carrots, our spring onions, our red pepper. We are mixing all together this way. All right, you stir it this way, you stir it that way, you put your seasoning cubes in it. If you're using the cubes or you're using the powder, any of it is okay, but ensure that you put it to taste. You do not over put your seasoning. For this recipe, we have our measurements from the beginning of the class. It's there. So the next thing we're doing is that we're adding our oyster sauce. All right, for some recipes you say soy sauce, but the reason why I do not like using soy sauce is that I don't want water residue of any sort in my spring rolls filling. So when I am filling the wraps up, I don't have water dripping out from any corner of the sheet, or I don't have water making my sheet soft. So you add the oyster sauce and give it a good mix on the fire this way. The most important thing is that we do not want to overcook it, so you will see your cabbage, you're seeing your carrots, you're seeing your vegetables. They are not overcooked, their colors, they still maintain their colors, so that when we fill it in and when we're fried, you see that it's still looking fresh, it's not looking stale. So this is it. We're making our spring rolls filling. All right, this is super easy. You can have this for your breakfast in your homes. You can make this and package for sale. You can make it for parties, small chops. You serve it alongside with other small chops. You can do this for a lot of occasions. Okay, so we are done with our spring rolls filling. So right now we are back to our wrap, the dough for the spring roll wrap. All right, can you see that the dough is softer than what it was and it's smoother? All right, so what I'm doing right now is that I'm cutting them into smaller bits, lemon sizes, ball sizes, so that I can roll out and get my sheets. All right, so this is what I'm doing. I'm cutting them into smaller rounds. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll use my hand to shape in them and make it into rounds this way. All right, you can work on your work surface, you can work on any surface that is comfortable by you. All right, but it's very important that before you begin rolling, you make it into rounds. We have tortilla, we have this sheet cutter, but I mean, you can do this at home. What we're teaching you is, if you don't have any of these things, just with your work surface and your rolling pin, you can make this sheet as well. So you can see I have this on my work surface and I'm rolling it. And if you notice, I roll once, I lift it up. I'm not just rolling and rolling, no, I roll and lift it up. So now I have 2 rounds now. What do I want to do? I want to ensure that I put oil on this dough, all right? And make sure that your oil is generous. You generously put this oil on this dough. If not, I'll tell you what will happen. You will not have a good sheet coming out for you. It will come out and then you will not be able to separate the sheet. Honestly, it will really make you cry like it did made me cry. All right, so just put a lot of oil and flour. Be generous with this step, okay? So put it together. I'm showing you just 2 of the dough together. All right, it's possible to put 4 together, it's possible to put 5 together, but before you begin doing that, you have to be an expert with 2. All right, so you put these 2 together and roll it the same way I did. Put it back on your work surface and then begin to roll this way. Roll and turn. Just exactly what I'm doing. Roll and turn it around. Roll and turn it around. The reason why I'm doing this is that I want to have it round. If I just keep rolling on just one spot, it will give me something that looks like rectangle or a shapeless substance. But you have to roll it this way, that way, the other way, so that you have something that looks round, okay? But you have to keep working, dusting your work surface, and then you keep rolling this way. It's quite very simple, but practice will make you perfect in this, okay? But look at what I'm doing very carefully, and you will be able to replicate the same. Just keep taking it around. You can see the number of times I keep taking it off the work surface and I keep rolling. It's something that you have to keep doing. Like that, you roll, you take it up, dust your work surface, roll, take it up, dust your work surface, but ensure that the flour you're putting on your work surface is not too much. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm enjoying myself. There's something I always tell my students. I say, when you're making pastries, you need to be happy with it, because if you're not happy with it, it will not come out well. Pastry is flour is very, very sensitive. It reads your emotion. That's funny to say, but yes, it does read your emotion. If you are not happy, it won't work. Just massage it, just like I am doing. Enjoy yourself while doing it. Just rub it. Ensure that you keep rubbing it, lifting it up, rubbing your work surface, and before you know it, it will give you exactly what it is that you are looking for, just like we have here. You see, now I'm using a pot to get this sheet out. All right, you can use an oven. Okay, I use ovens as well, but I'm using pots in case some people don't have ovens here. Just oil your pot or your pan, any is fine. Oil the top of your dough as well, and just put it in the pan this way. Ensure that it is sitting well in the pan or pot, just like you can see now. Then after a few minutes, if you watch carefully, you begin to see that the top is bubbling like this. All right, you can turn it around. You could just bring it out. It's fine. I mean, however ways. If you do not turn it inside the pot, it's still okay. But I mean, if you turn it around, it could just give you the doneness that you want. So what you do is that you just cut into 2 equal halves, put together and cut again, so that you can have 4 angles like this, and then you now separate the sheets this way. All right, you separate the sheets this way so you can see this is our sheets. Okay, so when you have spring rolls to make, samosa to make, what do? You make your sheets ahead. You can make them hours before making your filling. Can you see? It's transparent. When you put your hand behind it, you can actually see your hand through the dough. All right, through the sheets. Okay, so this is it. We have different ways of making sheets, but for this class, this is the method we're showing you. Maybe in subsequent classes we'll show you other methods. Okay, so you wrap them in a sheet to avoid it drying out. Okay, you don't make your sheets and keep them just like that for air to just get into it. All right, so this is it. We keep it aside and then we make our gum. We call it gum because when we're wrapping, we have to seal it up with something. So our gum, we're making it with just flour because of the gluten content in it. When water comes into it, the glutide, the glutenin, they all begin to work together and then they begin to stretch as if it's a gum. All right, so we're making our gum simply by adding water to flour and mixing it this way, just like what I am doing right now. You mix it like this, like a batter, but the batter should be a thick one. Okay, and so what's the next thing that we are doing? We're wrapping it up. All right, the spring rolls, we are wrapping it up. Okay, so we put the filling this way. All right, and then you brush it with your gum on the angles. All right, you brush it on the angles. Even if you don't brush on the angle, ensure that the top, it's compulsory because that is where the entire seal is going to be. So you fold it like an envelope this way. This is looking like an envelope, right? So you fold like an envelope. So the first you do is that you tuck the filling into the first roll this way. Ensure that you tuck it in this way and then you roll it up. It's quite really easy. All right, we're making it slow so that you can see what we're doing. You just roll it up this way, okay, like this, so you can see. Ensure that the edges are tucked in properly and then you roll it up. Can you see this? Isn't this simple? This is really simple. Wow. So here we have our spring rolls. You can make it long, you can make it short, however you make it is okay. If you like the short ones, it's okay. So this is it. We're frying it now. Once you're done, you can keep it in your refrigerator for some minutes and then you fry. It can stay in your refrigerator for weeks. All right, and then you fry. It is that simple. All right, so here we have our spring rolls. Thank you and God bless you.